We can't blame the madness we see out in the world on why we're not having a personal relationship with Jesus. Welcome back to episode 101 of the What's the Dill podcast. I'm your host, Dill. We have a great show for you today. We are going to talk about the college campus protests that are going on and what that means in terms of our needs. But first, I want to talk about a little bit of a vulnerable moment. I don't know if you remember last week, but I was talking about seeing a TikTok video about 5 groups, and it was really beautiful, and it was really well done, and it was really well said, and these were beautiful, and I thought of them watching it. This week, I had another similar incident where I welled up a little in my eyes. I'm getting softer, guys, day by day. I'm getting softer. Not taking much to kind of get me nowadays. But I thought it was the funniest thing, and I want to share with you. If you have an iPhone and you have the Photos app, right? You take a bunch of photos, it goes to your Photos app in your library. And then, the library or the Apple Photos app makes a slideshow for you that kind of includes some photos and videos, and it'll be like themes. It'll be like, portraits, or like summer of 2021, or, whatever, the wedding. I don't know how it does have some AI or something that kind of collects all the photos and makes a little slideshow. It's always over music, and they have, little transitions. And if you have an iPhone, you know what I'm talking about. But, sometimes these little montages, they get me. And one popped up on my phone the other day, and it just said growing up. And it was our firstborn, our little boy. And the picture, that little, thumbnail was just his little face. I was like, all right, I got to click on this. So I clicked on it. And it is just photos of the past couple years over really sentimental piano music. And it's just seeing him growing up. And I was just like, oh, this stupid Apple montage slideshow is about to get me. It's 10:50 in the morning at work, and I'm at my desk, and I'm watching this. And I'm like, I might shed a tear watching this. It is little faces on there. All these pictures I took, some of them are blurry, and I was like, oh, I remember that. That was in that corner of our apartment. And that was in the other corner of our apartment. Oh, that's when he had avocado in his face. Like, totally got me. Yeah, I guess just really, really, really been soft the past couple of weeks. Got a soft, mushy inside, like a Snickers bar. I thought that was so funny. So if you don't know what that is, though, you should go check out that app, or like that part of an iPhone. Go check out that part of the photos and see what montages and slideshows they've cooked up for you, because they're pretty good. I don't know who's doing them over there in Apple. I don't know who's responsible for those, but whoever is, you're doing a good job. I salute you, and you're good at this. Or whatever algorithms you have to make the transitions and the music and face identification, you're doing a good job. And I salute you, and I want to meet you one day, whoever you are. I want to meet you, shake your hand, say thank you for making these montages. But I thought that was really funny, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. Want to get into the meat of our episode, and want to talk about these college campus protests that are happening. Boy, are they pretty wild. But what does it mean? You've seen the college campus protests. You probably have a pretty strong opinion about it. You might have a strong opinion about the two sides of this protest, understanding the two countries that are in conflict. You might have a strong opinion on that. You might have a strong opinion about what was happening with the police, and the force they were using in different parts of the country. Or you might have a strong opinion about the students, and then they're protesting, or silent protesting, or occupying a building. You might be watching this and saying, yeah, the students should be doing that. They should be peacefully protesting. They should be, be able to go into the buildings. I don't know. You should be saying, hey, the cops should, break it all up. Or, what's happening over there in the Middle East is so bad. We need some, seek justice and talk about the justice that needs to be done there. It's a lot. I think for me, it's like one of the things I'm just like, gosh, this is a lot. For me, these college campus protests bring up a very clear distinction in my life. There is the external that is happening. outside there. There's outside this door, right here where I'm pointing, if you're watching. There is the external. And there is so much going on outside this door of my apartment. There's people's lives. There's conflict. There's war. There's abuse. There is injustice. There's racism. There is, broken relationships. There is corruption. In this state, in this country, in other countries, there's a lot going on. There's so much going on. With the media that we see, we just get a tidal wave of it. We see everything. We're getting live videos of what's going on in the Middle East. We can see it with our eyes. There's a lot happening outside of the doors and the walls of your home. And it's easy to see all of that and get overwhelmed and want to seek justice. Seek justice for those who are doing wrong. Seek justice who need justice. We want God to give justice to those who are wrong in our eyes, right? Because there's so much going on out there. But for this was also a very, very good reminder that, yes, there's a lot of insanity and crazy things going on outside these walls. And there is a time for justice. But I don't want to lose sight of the fact that God wants to do something inside of me. So in the exterior, there's a lot happening. But on the interior, God's doing a lot as well. And I can't lose sight of what's happening in the interior for all the things going on in the exterior. And I think we can lose ourselves a lot of times and lose what's going on inside of us, inside of our spirits, when there's so much craziness going on. When there's so much external stimuli, and we just see war going on, and we just see protests and students getting tackled and arrested and, students taking over campus buildings. It's like, and you just go to bed like, and then you wake up and you're like, and then you're at lunch like, did you see the things? It was just like, Then you go to bed, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on out there. Okay, it's wild. And you talk to other people, did you see what's going on? Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Did you see it? It was wild. It was so crazy. But we can't lose sight of the fact that God currently wants to do something inside of you right now. Is trying to do something inside of you right now. Just because there's a lot going on in the exterior doesn't mean that God doesn't want to work in the interior. In fact, that's the most important thing. Yes, justice is important, but the most important thing is that there's something happening inside of you and inside of all of us that God wants to do and do a work in, and that we need to seek that first. There's that famous line in the Bible where Jesus says, you Pharisees, you clean the outside of the cup, but you don't clean the inside of the cup. You don't clean your hearts. And it's this powerful line where he's saying hey, you're following all these rules. You're seeking justice. You're following 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but your hearts, your hearts aren't in it. We can seek all the justice we want, and remember, justice is ultimately God's, so it is good to seek justice. It is good to want justice in the world. But let's not forget that there's interior things in our own lives that God wants to do in each one of us. Because it's also a good reminder that even when the world is so busy, even when it's so busy out there, God is not too busy for you. Even when the world is too busy for you, God is not too busy for you. God's giving you his full attention. Jesus is giving you his full attention. When you open the door, Jesus is giving you his full attention. Jesus isn't like, yo, hey, make this quick, man. Hey, Pete, make this quick. I got to go deal with the Middle East and these college protests. I heard half the people aren't even students over at Columbia. I don't know what I'm going to do, but listen, I got 20 seconds. No. When we open the door, even when there's a lot of craziness going on in the world, when there's a lot of craziness, God gives us his full attention. Now, I think that can be really, really hard to even understand because we don't give each other our full attention. I mean, how many times are we, checking our phones or thinking about something else or waiting till someone's ending a conversation so we can kind of just get back to our point? I mean, how often do we do this? How often are you truly giving your full attention to someone? It's hard, right? And when someone gives you their full attention, sometimes you're like, whoa, or you're just like really listening to me. Oh, okay. I can keep talking. You're really listening to me. It stands out when people give us their full attention. So when I see God, when I pray to God, when I open the Bible, when I close my eyes and pray to God, morning, noon, night, whenever it is, God gives me his full attention. How awesome is that? That's something we need to call to mind to, that no matter how crazy the outside world is, God is not too busy for you. God is not too busy for you. I heard this awesome podcast, or this awesome preaching or something. I can't remember what it was. But it was saying that Jesus performed a lot of miracles when he was interrupted on his way to go do something else. So think about that. The one famous one is that Jesus, a synagogue leader, goes up to Jesus and says, a synagogue leader named Jairus goes up to Jesus and says, hey, Jesus, my daughter is sick in bed. Please come heal her. So they all start going to this guy's house. And the hemorrhaging woman who's hemorrhaging for years just grabs out and touches the cloak of Jesus. And that's what that line is, who touched me? And she's like, they're all like, who touched him? And, Peter, I think it's Peter's line, like, Lord, there's so many people pushing in on you. No one knows who touched you. And finally, this hemorrhaging woman, who in the eyes of the old Jewish law was unclean because she was hemorrhaging and bleeding, and she wasn't allowed to go worship like the other people. She was basically ostracized. So she just wanted to stop bleeding. She wanted to be clean. Jesus said, who touched me? She says, it was me, because I just want to touch her cloak and I knew could be healed. And Jesus healed her. Your faith has healed you. And then goes on his way to also heal the daughter of Jairus. And it's like, Jesus wasn't too busy for this woman, this poor woman who was ostracized from the Jewish people and the Jewish faith because she was unclean. He wasn't too busy for her. He was on his way to go perform another miracle, and he still wasn't too busy for her. How many times in our lives do we tell each other that we're too busy for each other? Hey, someone wants to hang out. Oh, man, I got so much work. I got so much to do. Hey, you guys want to come over? Oh, man, I got the kids. I can't do this. Hey, do you guys want to go on this trip? You should do that. Oh, man, I got this. Hey, is there some this? I don't know. They want to come over and I should. We let busyness take precedent in our relationships. Jesus is never too busy for you. He's never too busy for any of us. The purpose in each one of our lives and the work that God is trying to do inside of each one of us is a big deal. And I think a lot of times for us who grew up in the faith, we can see like a hierarchy of needs. I feel like there can be a hierarchy of needs for like how we can go to God, how we can approach God. Like I have a pretty good life, good family, good friends, like, the things that I care about in my heart, things that God's trying to do me, it's like important, but like, God's really, really like, talking to like holy people and holy priests, and he's spending, like, that's kind of more important. Like I shouldn't pray for things I want in my life. Like, I shouldn't just pray for stability in my life or the material things I want. It's just like not pour in, or like, I shouldn't pray for, finding a good job or to, fulfill my talents or my role and trying to be a leader. Like, well, that's just kind of human things, because God really cares about like, just like, sinners or like, really holy people or really poor people. That's like much more important. Like the stuff that's going on in my life isn't really that important, that I guess it's okay, but I'm kind of just like a normal guy. Nothing's really that important in my life. I think we can sometimes think there's this hierarchy of needs when we approach God. And if it's not purely spiritual, then maybe God doesn't care about it. Like, what? You want to do what with your job? You want a new job? Okay, that's cool. But like, what about all the sins you're committing? Are you not doing them anymore? That's kind of more important. And that, I think, shortchanges how much God cares about our hearts and cares about us and wants to be involved in every single detail in our lives. God wants to be involved in every single detail of our lives. God wants to know about your new job. God wants to know about that relationship that you're having. God wants to know about your new boyfriend or girlfriend. God wants to know about that person you're having trouble with. God wants to know about your schooling. God wants to know about your hobbies. You like to fish. You like to fly planes. You're learning how to knit. You want to join a soccer club. God wants to know about these things. God wants to be there with each one of us in these things, because ultimately God cares about the purpose in our lives and wants to win over our hearts so he can carry out that purpose in our lives. Yeah, and I think it's just really easy growing up where we just think why would God care about this? What's going on in my heart? Why would God care about this? Well, God wants to pursue your heart. God is pursuing your heart, and he wants you to give over your heart to him. And that might sound really vague, but first and foremost, God wants to talk to you. God wants to build a relationship with you. So what's a first step we can take to give our hearts over to God, to let God carry out his purpose, and to, draw closer to him, and to find our purpose, and to do the interior work? Building a personal relationship with God. And we could do that just by telling God about our day. A micro step we can do in that is to tell God about your day. So tonight, close your eyes for 2 minutes, 120 seconds, and just tell God about your day. And you might think, well, what's the point of that? That's a lie. Don't listen to that. Cast that out. That's a lie. I promise you, if you just tell God about your day for 2 minutes, you'll be amazed at how much God can do with that and work with that, and how much that can start building a relationship. Because you can't give your heart over to someone, you can't give your life completely over to someone if you don't have a relationship with them. So building a personal relationship with God is the core of what we need to be doing when we talk about, changing our lives, finding our purpose, aligning our why with God, discerning his will, hearing his voice. The core foundation, the cornerstone of that, the foundation of that is a personal relationship with him. And remember, you have 24/7 access to God. You have 24/7 access to God. You can ask God anything, anytime, anywhere. He's not too busy for you. Remember Jesus, he's not too busy for you. Because you might have, a pesky sin that you can't overcome. You might have a habit that you're trying to break. You might have brokenness that you need healed. You might have relationships that you need repaired. You might have a heart that is hard, and you might be uncatechized and not have any idea how to even start. The core of this Christian life, the core of getting better, the foundation of drawing closer to Christ is a personal relationship with God. And that starts with talking to God. In prayer, through prayer, but talking to him. Just tell him about your day tonight. Tell him about your day. Building that personal relationship with God is going to be the cornerstone of how we deal with what's going on inside of us, and we deal with the injustices that's going out in the world. So, it's very easy to get emotional about these things. It's very easy to get worked up about all of the craziness going on in the world, but we can't get distracted from what God wants to do inside of us. We can't blame the craziness of the world for not doing the work inside of us. We can't blame the madness we see out in the world on why we're not having a personal relationship with Jesus. Hey, man, God, I'm too busy to even pray. I'm too busy to pray. I got too much on my mind. There's too much craziness in the world. God's not too busy for you, so we can't be too busy for God. So that's it for me today. Yeah, I think this is a good topic. I think it was important to talk about, but also, again, my perspective on, what does this mean when we see the college campus protests? But yeah, I hope you all had a great week. Hope you're all having a great week. Hope you all have a great weekend. It's Mother's Day this weekend. Spend some time with your moms. Call your mom. This is a common chorus we hear. Got to call your moms. Spend time with your moms. For Mother's Day, they do a lot for us. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for checking in. Please like, subscribe, send this and share this to anyone you think would like it. I appreciate you all so much. Please DM me, message me, let me know your thoughts to this. I would love to hear from you. Till next time, guys. Talk to you soon, right? Peace. Bye.